Welcome to Pod Applaud, the Monday through Friday podcast that aims to enable your podcast habit. I'm your host, Seb, and today we are going to observe Strange Animals podcast in its natural habitat. Strange Animals podcast is a solo podcast in which our host, Catherine Shaw, takes us on an educational romp through the animal kingdom and into our collective imagination of animals that may be more faux than fact. At the time of recording this, there are a total of 115 episodes, with a new episode released every week. The show usually runs between 10 to 20 minutes long, so sometimes you can fit in a whole episode while making breakfast or doing the dishes. I came across this show via Twitter, on which Catherine, true to form, tweets and shares a lot of cool animal and biological snippets. I've listened to about 20 episodes at this point, and I feel like I have garnered new information from each and every episode. This newfound knowledge can range from physical facts that the keenest animal nerds will gush over to how humans can perceive animals from a storytelling point of view. For example, my favorite snippet of knowledge came from episode 104, Tiger Salamanders, in which Catherine tells us why we, for a long time, believed salamanders are capable of living in fire and why we relate them to flame. We learn of how asbestos was once named salamander wool for its flame-resistant properties. And in nearly the same breath, we learn that tiger salamanders retract their eyes into their head to help them swallow. Pretty awesome, right? Some episodes talk about extinct species that no longer roam the earth. There are episodes that cover dinosaurs, lost age megafauna, or more recently extinct creatures. There are also episodes that cover creatures of myth or folklore. The majority of episodes, however, focus on real-life species that are still with us today. No matter the subject matter, I always feel like we get a lot of great information in the relatively quick and snappy episodes. Usually, we start off with physicality or the family of species in relation to other genuses or families, and before you know it, we are learning all sorts of fascinating trivia about animals. The only downside of the show for me is, despite the clear quality audio, the cadence of the presentation feels a little too bouncy for my taste. Just like some people have claimed Aaron Mahnke's narration and lore, which is an amazing podcast, can be distracting, I feel similar with this show. It might just be me. Either way, it is a small criticism that doesn't stop me from listening. Well, here on Pod Applaud, I rate shows on a 1 to 5 scale. 1 is silence, 2 is a slow clap, 3 is applause, 4 is a round of applause, and 5, of course, is a standing ovation. I'm going to give Strange Animals podcast a 4 to 5, a round of applause. If you're a huge animal buff, this is going to be a 5 out of 5 for you. The parts I liked most about the show was learning the surprising relation of asbestos and salamanders, or how the practice of taxidermy spawned its own folklore creatures. These moments are not in every episode, but I'm glad the show is so encompassing, because it can lead to moments where you feel like an episode was tailor-made for you. I'll stay subscribed and likely catch up on the entire backlog. I would recommend this podcast not just to animal lovers and trivia junkies, but also to anyone who is depicting animals in media and might want to breathe a little bit more life into their art. That's the show for today. I hope you found it valuable. If you wish to reach out or follow me, You can find me on Twitter at Podapplaud or send an email to podapplaud@gmail.com. Thank you for listening, and please tune in again.